What Dragon Ball GT manga, you might ask? Well, essentially it's an unlicensed recreation of Dragon Ball GT that was published in China around 1997 and 1998. Dragon Ball GT was released starting in February of 1996 as a continuation of the Dragon Ball Z anime series, picking up 5 years after the final episode of that series. But where the Dragon Ball Z anime series was based on the original manga work of Akira Toriyama, Dragon Ball GT had no equivalent manga to base its story from, similar to the theatrical movies and TV special releases. Despite some divided reception from fans, Dragon Ball GT has managed to garner a dedicated following, and its existence as an anime-only follow-up to the original manga has had people clamoring for a manga version for years. And to be fair, it wouldn't be the first time an anime original show has received a manga adaptation. We've seen this from shows like Neon Genesis Evangelion, Psycho Pass, and Kill la Kill, where the anime was the main product and the manga was created afterwards or as a way to advertise the show. Of course, there is the Dragon Ball GT anime comic, which started in 2014. These were released in Japan and later collected and translated into some languages such as Spanish, but never had a formal American release. However, these were also just taking still frames from the show and arranging them into comic format. While nice on the surface, taking animation that is created primarily for motion and haphazardly throwing them into panels is not particularly enticing. There's truly an art to panel composition, which is why manga and anime are truly able to coexist. Well, things get a little bit easier when you don't have to worry about things such as licensing and copyright. And so in 1997, a Chinese publisher known as Jinshong Youth Publishing House started work on a less than legal 20-volume recreation of the first 40 episodes of the Dragon Ball GT series, covering from the beginning of GT all the way to the conclusion of the Baby arc. So unfortunately nothing from the Super 17 or Shadow Dragon arcs. And this is something I put into a much different category than, for instance, fan creations like Dragon Ball AF. These were manga volumes created with the express purpose of being sold and acting as representations of the series over in China. Today, in the year 2025, actual copies of the original Chinese version are hard to come by and are all generally worn and torn. They weren't printed on exactly the best or most durable paper. However, thanks to years of effort from the Dragon Ball community, there's been a major effort to collect, clean, and translate these into English and preserve these really interesting pieces of work. And unlike the official film comics I mentioned before, these actually redraw the scenes from the show by hand in black and white. For an unlicensed project, I was actually really surprised at how much work they put into tracing and redrawing everything, because there are a lot of genuinely striking panels in this. Keep in mind the quality across these chapters range from solid and almost breathtaking to some of the ugliest art you've seen in a long time. You can tell there's a notable lack of quality control. When the artists aren't taking from GT itself, they sometimes alter and reference panels from the original manga too, and I'm not gonna lie, it kinda cooks. I think the most intriguing and almost confusing part about this whole bootleg GT manga though is that they could have literally just assembled frames from the show and called it a day. It would only save time and probably money. The idea with mini bootlegs is that they're something cheap to create and mass produce. But I think the reason this exists is more an availability issue. You see, Dragon Ball was not legally or officially available in China until 2005 when Shueisha finally signed a deal for distribution. And yet, the popularity of bootlegs dating back to even 1989 meant there was an entertainment demand, one that's even spawned various unofficial sequels to the main Dragon Ball series. The translation effort getting to the Baby arc and getting a manga representation of Goku's Super Saiyan 4 transformation was, I think, most exciting for me. The Baby arc is where the series started for those of us who watched the show in its original run in North America, and so there's a bit of nostalgia in reading through it again. While I wouldn't recommend this as someone's first experience with GT, I do think it's a good read and really highlights the strength of GT's art in action. Now, for the sake of ensuring that the translators working on this project are able to completely finish, I won't talk about exactly where to find this bootleg. Just know that it exists. And overall, I'm glad there's work out there to preserve this part of Dragon Ball history, even something unlicensed like this. As of the recording of this video, there's only one more volume that needs to be translated, and then the entire set will be complete. So hopefully you'll keep your eyes peeled for news in the future about it. I've talked about Chinese bootlegs and knockoffs before in my bootleg anime app video, and I actually have a few more videos planned out in the future as well. There's basically a whole ecosystem around bootlegs that exist, and I'm not gonna lie, some of it is really cool and interesting. If you want to be notified when these videos release, make sure to subscribe to the channel and maybe also like and share this video to help support me. Anyway, thanks for watching and bye.